It's really difficult to know what's right on COVID, given all the uncertainty, all the chaos, especially when you step outside the pure biology, virology of it, and you start getting to policy.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's really
Yeah. There's just trade-offs. Yeah.
like transmissibility of the virus. Sure, just knowing if 65% of the population gets vaccinated, what effect would that have? Just even knowing those things, just modeling all those things. Um, Given all the other incentives, I mean, Pfizer,
But
I don't know what to
you
think.
had the CEO of Pfizer on your podcast. Did you leave that conversation feeling like this is a person who is consciously uh, reaping windfall profits on a dangerous vaccine and putting everyone at intolerable risk? Or do you think this person? Did you think this person was making a good faith attempt to save lives and had no taint of bad incentives or something between?
The thing I sensed, and I felt in part, it was a failure on my part, but I sensed that I was talking to a politician.
Hmm.
So it's not thinking of there was malevolence there or benevolence. There was
He just had a job to
he
do.
put on a suit, and I was talking to a suit, not a
Hmm.
human being. Now he said that his son was a big fan of the podcast, which is why he wanted to do it. So I
Right.
thought I would be talking to a human being, and I asked challenging questions, but I thought the internet thinks otherwise. Every single question in that interview was a challenging one,
Hmm.
but it wasn't grilling, which is what people seem to want to do with pharmaceutical companies. There's a deep distrust of pharmaceutical companies.
But what's the alternative? I mean, I totally get
Right. That's
that
just a
windfall
question.
profits at a time of a public health
Yeah.
emergency looks bad. It is a bad look, right?
Yep.
But
Yep.
how do we reward and return capital to risk takers who will spend $1 billion to design a new drug for a disease that maybe only harms a single digit percentage of the population? It's like, well, what do we want to encourage, and who do we want to get rich? I mean, so like the person who cures cancer, do we want that person to get rich or not? We want the person who gave us the iPhone to get rich, but we don't want the person who cures cancer to get rich. I mean, what are we
I
trying to
think it's a
do?
very gray area. So what we want is the person who declares that they have a cure for cancer to have authenticity and transparency. There's like, I think we're good now as a population smelling bullshit. And there is something about the Pfizer CEO, for example, just CEOs of pharmaceutical
Mm,
companies in general, just because they're so lawyered up, so much marketing
yeah,
PR people that you just smell bullshit. You're not talking to a real human. That it just feels like none of it is transparent to us as a public. So like this whole talking point that Pfizer's only interested in helping people just doesn't ring true, even though it very well could be true. It's the same thing with Bill Gates,
mm,
who seems to be at scale helping a huge amount of people in the world.
yeah,
And yet there's something about the way he delivers that message where people like, these seem suspicious. What's happening underneath this?
right.
There's certain kinds of communication styles that seem to be more serve as better catalysts for conspiracy theories, and I'm not sure what that is because I don't think there's an alternative for capitalism in delivering drugs that help people. But also at the same time, there seems to need to be a more transparency, and plus like regulation that actually makes sense. Versus,
Mm,
it seems like pharmaceutical companies are susceptible to corruption.
yeah, I worry about all that, but I also do think that most of the people going into those fields and most of the people going
Yes,
into government
yeah, they want to do
are
good.
doing it for good, and they're non-psychopaths trying to get good things done and trying to solve hard problems, and they're not trying to get rich. I mean, many of the people are. It's like they're bad incentives or something. Again, I've uttered that phrase 30 times
Yep.
on this podcast, but it's just almost everywhere it explains normal people creating terrible harm. right? It's not that there are that many bad people, and uh, yes, it makes the truly bad people that much more remarkable and worth paying attention to. But the bad incentives and the bad and the power of bad ideas do much more harm, because I mean that's what gets good people running in the wrong direction, or doing things that are clearly creating unnecessary suffering.